Scorpio Sky, Christopher Daniels, Frankie Zay, collectively known as SoCal Uncensored or
SCU! This is Catch, Hook, and Shoot, the worst podcast I've ever been on. Word.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to Catch, Hook, and Shoot for Sunday, June 14th, 2020. It is the day of WWE Backlash, and I'll be getting into the full preview and predictions for that a little bit later on in the show. First and foremost, like always, I want to thank everybody for watching, listening, and subscribing on YouTube, Podbean, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcast from. Make sure you're following on social media on all platforms. It's at Catch, Hook, Shoot. Head over to ProWrestlingTees.com/catchhookshoot for all your t-shirt needs. And if you ever want to shoot me an email, it's catchhookshoot@gmail.com. There is still the Patreon page, which is patreon.com/catchhookshoot, but I am making some changes to that, so those will be coming hopefully within the next month. Going to be revamping the content and the rewards for each tier, so keep an eye on that. Gonna have some pretty cool stuff coming down the line for the show. Got some collaborations in the works and things like that, so make sure you stay tuned for all the new and exciting things going on with Catch, Hook, and Shoot. So let's kick everything off this week like we always do with what I think is basically my favorite match of the week, and of course that is the match of the week. So before I start the actual match of the week this week, I just want to mention, I'm sure anybody watching on YouTube notices a little bit different setup for the video. I think I've got everything finalized with my new studio space here. Kind of reposition my camera, reposition the microphone. I'm hoping the sound quality is a little bit better. Give me some feedback. Let me know what you guys think. But let's jump into the match of the week here. For this week, my match of the week is from NXT TakeOver in Your House last weekend, and that is Karrion Kross versus Tommaso Ciampa. Now, some people out there might raise some eyebrows at this one because it was a very quick match. It was like 5 or 6 minutes, and Kross just dominated Ciampa throughout the whole thing. But that honestly is why I'm picking it as match of the week. This match did a lot to advance Kross's character, did a lot to advance his just story in general, did a lot to build him up to be that monster that WWE is making him out to be. And, Tommaso Ciampa did his part as well. I mean, Tommaso Ciampa's been top guy in NXT, seems like forever. And, he put Kross over. He made Kross look great, made him look like that unstoppable monster that he's being built up to be. So, this match hit all the important points that it was trying to hit. And, I'm a big fan of Karrion Kross, Killer Kross, whatever you want to call him. And, I think I can't wait to see, where he's going to go in NXT. So match of the week this week. If you're only going to check out one match, make it Karrion Kross versus Tommaso Ciampa. And if it is the only match that you're going to check out this week, well, it's only going to take you 5 or 6 minutes. So definitely give it a look. So moving right along into the next segment of the show, it is my top 3 highlights of the week, and it is called the 3 Count. Alright, so first up on the 3 Count this week, this past Monday, we saw the return of the Peep Show with Christian, and of course his guest on the Peep Show was Edge. And people who are used to seeing kind of the funny banter back and forth, joking around between Edge and Christian, that's not what we saw. It was really kind of a wake-up call from Christian to Edge, to make sure he's taking this match he's got coming up with Randy Orton seriously. And I thought it was a really cool segment. It was good to see Christian back on Raw. I'd love to see Christian back, more in the mix of stuff, but obviously, he said many times that's just not possible. He's retired, and that's that, which, you got to respect that, but it's not, not going to stop a lot of fans from wishing he could get back in the ring at least one more time. But yeah, the Peep Show Monday night, I thought it was pretty cool. It was definitely a departure from the Christian and Edge that we see on the WWE Network, on the Edge and Christian show that totally reeks of awesomeness. It's definitely a departure from the ENC Pod of Awesomeness, their podcast, and it was a really cool segment. I really liked it. Number 2 on the 3 count from AEW Dynamite this past week is Colt Cabana joining the Dark Order. Colt Cabana suffered another loss this week on Dynamite, and after the match, the Dark Order and Brody Lee came out to the ring. Brody Lee helped Cabana to his feet, and then the Dark Order just left. Nothing really was said or anything like that. And later on in the show, we saw Colt Cabana at the Dark Order's locker room, knocking on the door and stepping inside. So, yeah, could Colt Cabana be joining up with the Dark Order in AEW? We'll have to keep an eye on that one. Number 3 on the 3 count comes from NXT this past Wednesday night. At the very end of the show, Adam Cole had defeated Dexter Lumis in a non-title match. And at the end of the match, we saw Scarlett make her way to the ring with an hourglass and, turn that hourglass over to start the sands running. And that's, obviously an indication of Karrion Kross and his catchphrase TikTok. So basically the implication being that Adam Cole's time as NXT champion is running out. So it looks like they're thrusting Karrion Kross right into the championship picture. A lot of people online seem to have a problem with this. I personally like it. I like that they're putting him right into the main event scene, and he can definitely hold that spot. I mean, it's not like he's some green rookie just coming out of wrestling school. Kross has been around for a long time. He's phenomenal in the ring. His character is great, and I think him and Adam Cole could have just some crazy good matches. So I'm definitely looking forward to this one, seeing where it goes. So let's get into news and rumors for the week, starting off with Monday Night Raw. We've got a new number 1 contender for the United States Championship, and that is Andrade. He defeated Angel Garza and Kevin Owens in a triple threat match to get that spot. We saw some more of the Street Profits and Viking Raiders with the I can do anything better than you type of thing. And this time it was a decathlon, which they ended up basically splitting 5-5. So they are currently tied in their little contest that they've had going on. And I'll say I've said it before, the segments are entertaining. I don't dislike them. I want to see a wrestling match with these two teams. Obviously they've wrestled before, but the two of the best teams WWE has, I have no problem seeing them in a ring multiple times. But I think that's kind of the point, is just building up that anticipation and wanting fans to be kind of just clamoring for this match to finally happen. So hopefully they're not going to drag these little competitions out too long, and we'll be seeing that match sooner rather than later. Some more news in the saga of Seth Rollins and Rey Mysterio. Rollins has invited Rey Mysterio and his son Dominic to Monday Night Raw this week. It'll be interesting to see if they show up. I mean, I'm sure they probably will. They wouldn't have thrown the invitation out there if they weren't planning to have Rey there for Monday Night Raw this week. So, yeah, I'm very interested to see how this is going to go down. I did mention last week, could this be where we see Dominic turn on his father and kind of become one of Seth Rollins' disciples, and this, be the start of the Rey Mysterio versus Dominic storyline that's been rumored and hinted at for quite a while. And then during that segment where Rollins was talking about Rey Mysterio and Dominic, he was attacked by Aleister Black, and that basically turned into a tag team match between Aleister Black and Humberto Carrillo versus Buddy Murphy and Austin Theory. Yeah, I mean, obviously we've seen this match before. I'm honestly not sure how Aleister Black and Humberto Carrillo fit into this whole storyline, really, other than, it's just a way to keep them involved and keep them on TV and keep them as part of one of the major storylines that's going on. Because there's really no connection with Carrillo and Black and Mysterio. But other than they refer to Rey Mysterio as a mentor of Aleister Black and obviously a mentor of Humberto Carrillo. We've seen the two of them work together against Andrade in the past, but it just seems like an odd pairing, I guess. But it's like I said, it's keeping Aleister Black and Humberto Carrillo on TV. It's keeping them involved in a major storyline until they have something for one or both of them individually, I guess. So can't complain about that too much. But at the end of that tag team match, we did see Aleister Black get beaten down yet again by Rollins and his disciples, and took another curb stomp in the ring. So like I said, we'll have to see what happens when Rey Mysterio and Dominic show up on Monday. I'm sure they will. And I'm waiting for that Dominic heel turn, but I guess it all depends on if he's deemed as ready, quote unquote, to start getting in the ring. Moving on to NXT, coming off of the TakeOver in Your House event last weekend, we have a new NXT Women's Champion in Io Shirai. Well-deserved, long time coming. She was victorious against Charlotte Flair and Rhea Ripley. Now, the pinfall was on Rhea Ripley, so Charlotte technically did not get pinned or submitted for the championship, so that definitely could come into play later on. There wasn't anything mentioned about it this past week, but I'm sure somewhere down the line, Triple H actually hinted at it in an interview he did earlier in the week that 3-4 months down the line, people are going to understand why things played out the way they did. So hopefully that turns out to be true. Also, I talked earlier about Adam Cole. He did retain the NXT Championship, so that means the Velveteen Dream can never challenge for the NXT title again while Cole is the champion. So, of course, a lot of speculation coming off of that Velveteen Dream is going to be moving up to either Raw or Smackdown. Don't know if that's going to happen just yet. We'll have to wait and see. I mean, just because he can't challenge for the title while Cole is champion, there's no guarantee that Cole's not going to lose that title within the next month or so, and, Dream will be right back in the title picture. So we'll have to wait and see how that one plays out. Saw an interesting segment with Phantasma and Drake Maverick. Phantasma, of course, the new Cruiserweight champion, came out to the ring to do a promo. Maverick came out to congratulate him and basically challenge him to a rematch. It looked like Phantasma was going to accept, and we saw the two masked men come out that we've seen so often over the last few months that have been trying to, quote-unquote, kidnap Phantasma, and basically it was revealed that Phantasma is the one who's leading these masked men, and those masked men took the masks off and revealed themselves to be Joaquin Wilde and Raul Mendoza. Phantasma also removed his mask and revealed his name now in NXT is going to be Santos Escobar. So yeah, it looks like this is going to be, going forward. I would assume the rivalry with Drake Maverick is going to continue. Hopefully he gets some backup because, Phantasma, Joaquin Wilde, Raul Mendoza, that is a hell of a trio right there. So, I really hope Maverick gets himself some allies in this fight. We've also got some new number one contenders for the tag team titles. Actually, that happened last week in Breezango. We found out they're going to get their title match this coming week on NXT against Imperium for the NXT tag team titles. I wouldn't mind seeing Breezango as the NXT tag team champions. I don't think it's going to happen right now. I don't see Imperium losing the titles that quickly after winning them unless they're going to be traveling back to NXT UK. That's the only reason I could see them dropping the NXT titles that quickly, is if they're going to be leaving NXT sometime in the near future. We also had an interesting, some interesting comments from Finn Balor. He had a match against Yeah, Cameron Grimes. I kept wanting to call him Trevor Lee. He had a match against Cameron Grimes, was victorious, and at the end of the match, looked into the camera and basically challenged Keith Lee for the NXT North American title. Now, the last major storyline that Balor was involved in before the whole quarantine and everything was, he was supposed to be going after the NXT UK Championship and Walter. Well, obviously that hasn't been able to happen because of travel restrictions, but looks like now he's moving on to the North American Championship, so we could be seeing Finn Balor versus Keith Lee coming up in the very near future, and I am definitely here for that one. We also found out this coming week on NXT there's going to be a women's tag team championship match. Shotzi Blackheart and Tegan Nox are going to get a shot at the NXT the women's tag team championship against whoever the women's champions are after Backlash, and we'll get into that in a little bit here. Moving on to Smackdown. Yeah, kind of an uncomfortable segment to kick off SmackDown this week between Jeff Hardy and Sheamus. It was supposed to be a contract signing. Sheamus came out with a doctor and with security and basically said he wouldn't sign the contract until Jeff Hardy took a urine test, a drug test. And they had a little curtain set up and had, Hardy go back there and give his sample, and the doctor was, doing the test and everything. And it was like a ridiculously large container that was used for this test, and I'm pretty sure it was like apple juice or something like that was poured into it, but it was just the size of the container and the amount of liquid that was in it was just ridiculous is the only word that I can use. And of course, as you would expect, that container ended up getting thrown in Sheamus's face. The whole storyline with Jeff Hardy and Sheamus, I'm a fan of both guys. I can't wait to see the match between them. It's the backstory. Like I said, it's a bit uncomfortable, bringing Hardy's real life personal demons into it. But obviously, Jeff signed off on it, whether it's because he's actually okay with it or, whether he feels like he doesn't have a choice. Nobody knows that except for Jeff Hardy. But, I think that's kind of the point, to make people uncomfortable and to, for shock value and things like that. So, it's not my favorite storyline going on right now, but like I said, I've always said there is an audience for literally everything. So, I'm sure there are people out there enjoying the hell out of this. So, but it is what it is. We're going to see that match coming up at Backlash as well. And we also had a little bit of an upset in a tag team match on SmackDown. Shinsuke Nakamura and Cesaro defeated the New Day in a non-title match. So it looks like, I'm sure stuff like that typically leads to a title match somewhere down the line. So Nakamura and Cesaro kind of moving up in the tag team ranks, which I'm okay with that. I prefer both of them as singles wrestlers. At one point, I would have said Nakamura was the best wrestler in WWE, especially with his rivalry with AJ Styles over the WWE Championship, and, when he made his heel turn and things like that. And, to see the position that he's in now, I don't know. I think, Nakamura is one that should be at the main event level, and to think that the only reason that he's not is because of, a language barrier is ridiculous. And the same thing goes for Cesaro. He is a main event level caliber talent, doesn't have the greatest mic skills in the world, but, I don't know. Both of these guys, in my opinion, deserve a better spot than what they're in at the moment. But, it is what it is. They're making the best of it. They're putting on great matches. And if they end up being tag team champions at the end of the day, then, hey, awesome. We've got a new Intercontinental Champion in AJ Styles. Defeated Daniel Bryan in a 45 minute just classic match. This would have been match of the week had it not been Cross and Ciampa. It would have been Bryan and AJ Styles. This was just a phenomenal wrestling match between probably the two best wrestlers that WWE has right now. And so yeah, AJ Styles, new Intercontinental Champion, first time he's ever held that title, so congrats to him. Some miscellaneous WWE stuff. Tamina put out a video on social media this past week. Kind of interesting. I don't think it was a WWE sanctioned promo because it was taken down not too long after it was posted, but it was of her basically in a mental hospital. It showed the outside of a mental hospital at the beginning, and then went to a room inside, and we saw Tamina sitting on the floor wearing a straitjacket, kind of just talking to herself and talking to, everybody and nobody, and it showed, a different side of Tamina. It showed her. It showed some personality from her that we haven't seen before. Because as long as Tamina has been around in WWE, and it's been a very long time, she hasn't been in any major long-term storylines with anybody. We haven't heard a lot of her on the microphone. We haven't seen a lot of her personality. She's just kind of been there. So this, really showed us a side of her that we haven't seen before. So I'm hoping we get to see more of it, because I thought it was a cool little promo video. So if they can make something out of that, use that to, make a character change with her, whatever it might be. I mean, I was pleasantly surprised with what I saw in that video. Getting back to some of the rumors about Adam Cole that have been flying around, there's been a rumor going around for a while that his contract is going to be ending in August, and there's a lot of speculation about him going to AEW. And now PWI has reported this week that Cole still has another 18 months left on his current contract. So if that is true, then obviously he's not going anywhere anytime soon, and he won't be dropping the NXT title, or at least not for that reason. But who knows? I mean, it's all rumor and speculation at this point. Either way, whether his contract ends in August or whether it ends in another year and a half, who really knows? The only ones that really know is Adam Cole and WWE. So, if he pops up in AEW in September, well, then his contract ended in August. That's about the the best you can hope for in that situation, to find out exactly when his contract is ending. Also learned from WWE this past week that the Raw and Smackdown creative teams are being combined under Bruce Pritchard. Will now be basically the lead writer or the head creative guy or whatever you want to call him for both TV shows, and a lot of unhappiness about this decision, because basically it means Paul Heyman is out as executive director of Raw and will now be just an on-screen talent. And, there's a lot of, again, rumors flying around about wrestlers not being happy with this decision. Apparently Vince McMahon was not on board with some of Paul Heyman's creative choices. And, of course, there's speculation now, could Apollo Crews be dropping the U.S. title now, because that was a Paul Heyman decision that apparently Vince McMahon was not behind. We're gonna see some creative changes on Raw, and so we'll just have to see what comes of this. But yeah, Paul Heyman no longer executive director of Monday Night Raw. He is now an on-screen talent only, which means he's not going to be around, because the only on-screen time he gets is when Brock Lesnar is around, or when Brock Lesnar is about to come back. So. Yeah, we probably won't see Paul Heyman for a little while, until at least closer to SummerSlam, because that's the next time it's being speculated that Brock's going to be back. So let's get into the preview and predictions for WWE Backlash coming up later on tonight. First of all, we've got for the United States Championship, Apollo Crews taking on Andrade. Now, with the creative change on Raw, I have to think Andrade is probably going to win the championship back, and Apollo Crews is going to be pushed back down the card to, the enhancement talent status that he was kind of in before, which is sad, because Crews is a damn good in-ring performer, and he's definitely earned this opportunity as a champion. So as much as I hope Apollo Crews retains the U.S. title, I have to pick Andrade strictly because of the behind-the-scenes changes that have been made. Then we've got a triple threat tag team match for the WWE Women's Tag Team Championship. We've got Bayley and Sasha defending against Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross and the Iconics. Now, of course, it's been talked about for quite a while that Bayley and Sasha are going to be splitting at some point. So, and that match between the two of them is finally going to happen at SummerSlam. So if that's the case, I think now would be a good time to start building towards that rather than just dropping little hints like they've been doing the last several weeks. I think it may be time to pull the trigger and actually have one of them turn on the other. So and the best way to do that is for somebody to make a mistake and end up losing the championship. So for this one, for the Women's Tag Team Championships, I'm actually going to pick the Iconics. They've been gone for a while, and they've been, put in a pretty high-profile spot since they came back a couple of weeks ago. So I'm picking the Iconics as the new Women's Tag Team Champions. Then we've got that match between Jeff Hardy and Sheamus. Should be a fantastic match. Both of these guys are just honestly, they're two of my favorites in WWE, and so I got to pick Jeff Hardy in this one. I don't know how much longer they're going to draw this out. I mean, this is really the first actual match of this rivalry, so if they carry this over to SummerSlam, then Sheamus would probably be the winner in this one, but yeah, my first instinct for this is, I'm picking Jeff Hardy as the winner in this one. Then for the Raw Women's Championship, we've got Asuka taking on Nia Jax. This rivalry has been going on for a few weeks now. I'm picking Asuka to retain in this one. I think they're going to leave that title on Asuka for a little while. Then we've got kind of a weird match here, a handicap match for the Universal Championship. The Miz and John Morrison taking on Braun Strowman. Now, how this works, if the Miz and Morrison win, I don't know. Do they share the title, kind of like Michelle McCool and Layla did back in the day with the women's title? Are they going to cut it in half and each one gets half of the belt? I don't know, but I really don't think it matters because I'm picking Braun Strowman to retain in this one. Then for the WWE Championship, Drew McIntyre is taking on Bobby Lashley. This one, I'm picking McIntyre to retain. There's been a lot of speculation that Lashley could take the title off of McIntyre, and that could lead to Bobby Lashley versus Brock Lesnar finally happening. But I'm Lashley and Lesnar does not need a title. It's been said by many people many times, Brock Lesnar does not need a championship. He's a special attraction. He is going to draw, whether he is the champion or not. People are going to buy tickets to see him, mostly in the hopes that he's going to get his ass kicked, because not a whole lot of people like him. But Lesnar does not need the championship. So I'm picking Drew McIntyre to retain in this one. I mean, Bobby Lashley and Brock Lesnar can still happen without the championship. There's plenty of story there to tell with these two guys. So hopefully the powers that be can see that and will let Drew McIntyre continue his reign as WWE champion, because he has more than earned it at this point. And for him to, win the title at WrestleMania and turn around and lose it at Backlash, it just would be. I personally would not like it. I don't. Like I said, Lashley and Lesnar don't need a title. There's plenty of story to be told with those two guys. So I'm picking McIntyre to retain. And finally, we get to the match that's probably been hyped more than anything else about this pay-per-view, is Edge versus Randy Orton, what's being billed as the greatest wrestling match of all time. That right there is killing this match, quite honestly. I mean, Orton and Edge have been poking fun at that tagline on social media like crazy. It's ridiculous to even say that. Not that these two guys are not capable of putting on a great wrestling match. These are two of the all-time greats in WWE history. But to say something is the greatest wrestling match of all time is 100% subjective. What I think is the greatest match of all time may not be what somebody else thinks is the greatest match of all time. It's all based on opinion. It's all based on the individual and what they like. Some people will say the greatest match of all time is Kenny Omega and Kazuchika Okada. Others will say it's Ric Flair and Ricky Steamboat. Others will say it's Ricky Steamboat and Randy Savage. Others will say it's Undertaker and Shawn Michaels. Others will say it's Shawn Michaels and Razor Ramon in the ladder match. It's 100% subjective. It's all based on opinion. So to use that as a tagline, the greatest wrestling match of all time, is just it's kind of dumb. Honestly, I'm not a fan of it, but I'm a fan of the match. I mean, Edge and Orton, like I said, two of the best all time in WWE. Now, Edge did win their match at WrestleMania, so I'm going to pick Randy Orton to win this one, and then I think we're going to see a rubber match at SummerSlam more than likely. So yeah, I'm picking Randy Orton to defeat Edge in the greatest wrestling match of all time. So just to run it down again real quick, I've got Randy Orton over Edge, McIntyre retaining the WWE title over Bobby Lashley, Braun Strowman retaining the Universal title over Miz and Morrison, Asuka retaining the Raw Women's Championship over Nia Jax, Jeff Hardy defeating Sheamus, the Iconics defeating Bayley and Sasha, and Alexa and Nikki for the Women's Tag Team Championship, and Andrade defeating Apollo Crews for the United States Championship. So that is my preview and predictions for WWE Backlash coming up later on tonight. Moving on to some AEW news, the story is continuing with the Inner Circle and the Best Friends in Orange Cassidy. We saw another brutal beatdown of Orange Cassidy with a bag of oranges, of all things, but it was a huge bag of oranges. But so they are continuing this rivalry, and this coming week on Dynamite, we're going to see the Best Friends taking on Chris Jericho and Sammy Guevara for the number one contendership. The Best Friends are basically putting their title shot on the line against Jericho and Guevara. Then we saw an interesting segment between Billy Gunn and MJF, which led to them being signed to a match this coming week. So, we're going to see Billy Gunn taking on MJF. Excuse me, not Billy Gunn. It's just Billy. Apparently, he's not going to be allowed to use the name Billy Gunn in AEW because of, I guess, copyright issues with WWE or whatever it might be. But either way, it's Billy Gunn. He's taking on MJF this coming week. I already talked about Colt Cabana possibly joining the Dark Order. We saw Brian Cage attack Jon Moxley in the parking lot, put a vicious beat down on him, slammed him multiple times into somebody's poor car that was parked out in the parking lot. This is all, of course, leading up to their world title match coming up at Fyter Fest, which is going to be taking place the first 2 Wednesdays of July on Dynamite. We saw an awesome match for the TNT Championship with Cody Rhodes defending against Mark Quinn. This was another strong contender for match of the week. Cody was victorious, retained his championship. It's looking like the TNT title is going to be defended weekly on Dynamite. We have found out that there is going to be a TNT title match at Fyter Fest between Cody and Jake Hager. Hager and the Inner Circle came out at the end of the show and attacked Cody and Mark Quinn and whoever else was in the ring. And also coming up this coming week, we're going to see a tag team championship match with Hangman Page and Kenny Omega defending against the Natural Nightmares, Dustin Rhodes and QT Marshall. Now, if you pay attention to AEW Dark, there's been a kind of an interesting story developing with the Natural Nightmares, with Allie kind of becoming enamored with QT Marshall and kind of becoming a bit of a distraction for him and causing a little bit of a rift between QT and Dustin and Brandy. So it'd be interesting to see how this works out, because apparently Allie is going to be at ringside with Brandy Rhodes during this match. So I don't know. And of course, Allie previously was with the Butcher and the Blade, and so I don't know if this is leading to Butcher and the Blade just jumping Dustin and QT, possibly costing them this championship match. Who knows? I'm curious to see where this is going to go, because the thing with Allie was just kind of out of left field. So it's an interesting little twist on the Natural Nightmares tag team. Some good news coming out of New Japan Pro Wrestling. They announced they're going to start running shows again this coming week on June 15th, and they're going to also be starting the New Japan Cup tournament, running from June 16th through July 11th. There was quite a few replacements from the original bracket. Obviously, that's due to travel issues and travel restrictions, but the New Japan Cup will be taking place. Now, the first few shows, they're going to be empty arena shows up until July 11th, and then they will basically be running shows in arenas at 1/3 capacity. And on July 12th, they'll be having their Dominion event in Osaka Joe Hall, again with 1/3 capacity. All these events are going to be shown on New Japan World, their streaming service. So New Japan starting back up this coming week. Hoping they get another US TV deal. I really miss seeing New Japan on TV, so I'm hoping that they are able to get on another network here in the US. Some Impact news for this week. Kind of a little bit of a curveball thrown by Impact. Of course, Ace Austin had won the tournament to be the #1 contender for the World Championship, but it was announced by Scott D'Amore on Impact this week that the world title is going to be defended at Slammiversary in a 5-way match. It's going to be Ace Austin, along with Michael Elgin, Eddie Edwards, and Trey Miguel, all taking on Tessa Blanchard for the World Championship. So it kind of defeats the purpose of the tournament. But it is what it is. I mean, those are 5 amazing talents in the ring, so that should be a great match. It's going to be it's going to be interesting to try to keep up with that one. Saw an interesting segment with Michael Elgin as well, backstage talking on the phone to somebody, saying yes sir, and talking about Canadians are team players and things like that. So I'm curious to see who that was. Could that be one of the new talents that are being speculated to come in to Impact? Could it be just somebody completely new? Who knows? I'm sure we'll find out at some point. Another interesting backstage segment, we saw Rhino speaking with, I believe it was Rohit Raju, talking to Rhino, basically saying that the two of them should be tag team partners. And Rhino made the comment, he said, you know what, I've already got a partner. And he looked dead into the camera and said, and he's got kids. Obviously referring to Heath Slater. So, dropping more hints about people possibly coming in. Could we see Heath Slater show up in Impact? Hey, I would have no problem with that at all. We also saw Deonna Purrazzo make an appearance on Impact, attacking Jordynne Grace after her title defense against Taya Valkyrie. And basically, got Jordynne in an armbar and had Jordynne about ready to tap out. So Deonna Purrazzo getting thrust right into the Knockouts Championship picture. So look for Jordynne Grace versus Deonna Purrazzo coming up sometime soon in Impact. That should be a fantastic match as well. A little bit of news from MLW. They basically announced this week that they have re-signed Selena De La Renta, which is awesome. She is a huge part of MLW Fusion as a manager and executive producer, and does a lot of work for MLW, definitely good for MLW that she has re-signed with them. And it was also announced that MLW will now be on the DAZN app, which is typically known for boxing, is pretty much their claim to fame. But MLW now is going to be running on there as well. So that's going to do it for news and rumors for this week. So right now I'm going to throw it over to Charlie G with your indie cut.
Thank you, Tom, and hey to wrestling friends. I am Charlie G with your Indie Cut. There was quite a bit more wrestling action this week, so let's begin with 01 Children Festival 2 on Samurai TV from June 6, 2020. The Revengers of Masato Tanaka and Yuji Hino defeated Kohei Sato and Soki Kitamura. And in the 01 World Heavyweight title match, champion Chris Weiss defeated Hartley Jackson. Dragon Gate King of the Gate 2020 Day 9. The semifinals of Ida defeating Yamato and Naruki Daio defeating Kaito Yoshida. So then on the next day, June 7th, was Dragon Gate Day 10. Dragon Gate 2020 final match with Ita defeating Naruki Daio in under 19 minutes. We also had DDT Wrestle Peter Pan 2020 Day 2. Highlights were the Chop Up Challenge Falls Count Anywhere match of Antonio Honda versus Toru Awashi in a draw of 1,000 chops in 72 minutes 45 seconds. I can only imagine how that went. That is one long match. Then there was a tag of Soko Nakajima and Yuka Sakazaki, with Mayu Yamashita defeating Nadoki Tenma and Yuki Ino with Rika Tatsumi in a DDT Extreme Title Release Restriction Rules match. Shina Aki defeated Yuko Naya. And in a tag match of Saki Akai and Yuki Sakaguchi defeated Chris Brooks and Maki Ito. So that was a mixed tag challenge right there. Then in the KO'd tag team title match, Naomi Yoshimura and Yuki Uno, champions, defeated the Strong Hearts of Al Lindemann and T-Hawk. And in the KO'd openweight title match, Tatsuya Endo defeated champion Masato Tanaka in about 27 minutes to become new champion. Then there was All Japan Pro Wrestling broadcast number 6 with Yuma Yaiga defeating Tajiri, Kenta Mahara and Yasuta defeating Purple Haze of Izani and Ziga and Zeus. Then finally it was Suji Ishikawa defeating Jake Lee. We moved to June 9th, 2020 with the Active Advanced Pro Wrestling, which is 2AW Grand Slam on Samurai TV, with the 2AW Tag Title match of Yuma Honda and Taishi Takazawa defeating champions Chango and Kaji Tomato to become new champions. Then on the 10th of June, there was Ice Ribbons Peace Party number 45. Pro Wrestling Freedom's New Generation is Here 2020. And Noah in the Spotlight Day 1 with Kaz Hayashi, Kendo Kaishin, and Nasawa Rengi defeating Yasushi Kojage, Hazumi Alhara, and Saiki Yasukawa. Sorry for those pronouncements. And then Hayata, Kotaro Suzuki, Yoshinara Ogawa defeating Daisuke Harada, Tatsuki, and Yohei. One of my favorites. On June 11th, there was Noah in the Spotlight Day 2. A 6-man match of Yasushi Koteji, Hojimi Ohara, and Saiki Yasukawa defeating Kaz Hayashi, Kendo Kashin, and the Nasawa Rengu. And in an 8-man match, it was Daisuke Harada, Kaito Kimura, Tedescu, and Yohei defeating Kotaro Suzuki, Yasunara Ogawa, Hayata, and Kinya Okada. Also on the 11th, on IWTV, they had an IWTV mixtape, The Best of Black Independent Wrestling, as a bit of a benefit fundraiser. So check it out if you can. I'm sure they're still accepting donations to their cause. On June the 12th, No in the Spotlight Day 3. Kaz Hayashi defeated Saiki Yasukawa. Kendo Kaishin and Nasawa Rangai defeating Hai and Neo. In another tag match of Tedescu and Yohei defeated Kinya Okada and Yoshinari Ogawa. Kaito Kiramayo and Kotaro Suzuki defeated Yasushi Koteji and Fujimi Ohara. In the final match was Daisuke Hirata defeating Hayata by DQ. Then in Mexico, this was a kind of a DTU promotion, Rancho de Mexico. Yes, it was an outdoor show on a ranch with wild horses in the background and cactuses a few feet away. The only wrestler I recognized was Ultimo Guerrero of CMLL. Kind of a wild show, interesting, not that great. I mean, they're outdoors on the Ponderosa, Mexico. There was a four-way hardcore match, barnyard style, barbed wire, sheep, tractors, you name it, they pretty much had it. Check out, I think, Lucha Plus on YouTube or some sort for highlights. I'm sure it'll be up soon. It was an interesting show, outdoors, no locker room, so they were just walking into the field, past the mountain ranges. It was very interesting, and but still cool to see. Then finally on the 13th of June, new Ice Ribbon number 1046, Yokohama Ribbon 2020, with 100 people in attendance. So they are starting, some Japan shows are starting to have people attend. The main match was the CE times Infinity title match with champion Maya Ikahai defeating Suzy Suzuki. In DDT TV show number 6, no crowd yet for them. In a DDT Iron Man Heavy Metal title match, Antonia Honda defeated champion Dansuke Dino to become new champion, only for seconds later to have Dansuke Dino defeat Honda to become champion once again. Then in the Right to Challenge Anytime, Anywhere contract match, Yuki Uno defeated Maya. And then he cashed in soon after against Tatsusu Endo after a tag match of his own for the KO'd Openweight title match, where Endo defeated Yuki Uno in about 17 minutes. Then my favorites, Tokiyoshi Pro, Koko ni Aruzi, actually with 82 people in attendance, so they are starting to put some people in the seats. This is early this morning, so I did not catch it, but here are the results. It was Uno Manasi defeated Sina Severa. Hyper Misio defeated Haruno Nico. Hikara Nao defeated Mihara Kiro and Yuki Kamafuku. Maki Ito and Raku defeated Pam Hirajuku and Shoka Nakajima. Mayu Watanabe and Rika Tatsumi defeated Mina Sirakawa and Murao Mayumi. Yeah, that's a new name for me. And in the main event, it was Nodeki Tenra with Yuki Oine and Mayu Yamashita defeating Mizuki, Yuka Sakazaki, and Suzumi. So that was all the action of this week. On one indie note, there will be a GCW show on Saturday, June 20th, called The World of GCW Part 2 from Indianapolis on the Fight app. So check it out if you can. I'm sure it'll be part fundraiser as well, since I don't think there will be a crowd in there, but you never know with GCW. And it's in Indianapolis, so it's hard to say. So now it's time for the 2B Throwback Machine with Lucha Underground episode number 10. Yeah, I'm just doing one episode at a time now. It just seems a lot easier for me. It's called Law of the Jungle, January 14th, 2015. We start the show with Dario Cueto talking to Phoenix about how he has impressed him since arriving to the temple. He sees big things at Lucha Underground, wanting him to destroy Prince Puma in a match tonight for the Lucha Underground Championship. And of course, the mystery woman overhears the conversation in his office. First match of the night was Brian Cage against Aerostar, against Argenis, against Angelico in a 4-way elimination match. First, some background. It was Aerostar has been with AAA Wrestling since 2003 and has appeared in PWG, Shakira, and a few other promotions. Argenis started his career in 2006 for CMLL, but quickly went to AAA and still with them today. His brother is Sin Cara, or now called Christico, in CMLL. And Helico started wrestling in 2007 for a bunch of different indie companies. In 2013, he was with AAA and PWG in 2015. WXW in 2016, and What Culture Pro Wrestling in 2017, and is now full-time for AEW. Then Brian Cage started wrestling in 2005 for a few indies, including FCW. Then more prominently at PWG in 2010, TNA in 2012, and AAA after his debut in Lucha Underground in 2015. Returned back to TNA Impact in 2018 and has been part of Warrior Wrestling shows and now part of AEW. So all four of them were part of AAA at this time and kind of PWG. So the California styles where they found most of these guys at the time. Actually, and this, when I saw this match for the first time, it was the first time I saw all four of these men, and I was impressed by all of them. Now, since all three of these wrestlers are smaller than Cage, they all group up on him to start things off and go at it Lucha Libre style with lots of flash and skill. Speaking of skill, once back in the ring, Cage caught Aerostar trying to do a top rope move in a suplex position and into a jackhammer. Very cool move. Please go back and watch that. First elimination is Argenis from Cage, landing a pump handle squash. That's what I'm calling it, squash. I don't know what else to call it. Then Aerostar went after Cage, only to eat a power bomb, a turnbuckle toss into Angelico, and a tornado clothesline, leaving Cage against Angelico, which didn't last long, as Cage landed yet another tornado clothesline in an impressive debut. After a break, we see Chavo Guerrero Jr. in the ring wanting to apologize to Blue Demon Jr., but really he is sorry for not ripping off Demon's mask and covering it with his own blood. The two go at it for a bit until Blue Demon gets a couple of chair shots on Chavo as he leaves the ring. So I'm sure more to come between these two. Second match is King Cuerno against Drago in a singles match. Both men used their quickness and moves early on, but it was short-lived as Cuerno wanted to use a table and chair on Drago, only for Drago to duck the chair and land a super kick, laying out Cuerno onto the table. Drago raced up the stairs to the top of Dario Cueto's office, and landing a huge splash on the Cuerno through the table, leaving both men to be counted out. Hard spot. Drago looked like he smashed his face against the floor, so they were both pretty laid out at the time. In the main event is Prince Puma, who's Underground Champion, against Phoenix. A hype video is shown of Phoenix before the main event starts, after a few commercial breaks. Yeah, they dragged that out back then. The match begins with a show of respect with a handshake. Early on, no one can get an advantage as they both land moves in and out of the ring. Really, the whole match was back and forth with these two. It's easy to see why, with their strength, skill, and heart. At the end of the match, Phoenix tried to win with a walking top rope hurricanrana, only to be sidekicked by Puma, who quickly goes to the top rope and lands his 630 senton for the win. After the match, out came Cage sliding into the ring, attacking the champion Puma, landing a couple easy power bombs, and stood over Puma as the show ends. Pretty decent show. Like I said, all these guys really steal the show. It's hard to pick this one good match. This is when I thought the new year is going to be really good for Lucha Underground, and I'm sure I'm not disappointed at all. We'll find out as we go along. So that's a wrap for me. Until next time, with any news or shows, don't forget to look up those Twitch streams or YouTube channels for other wrestling content and charity donations. Thank you for watching or listening. Hope you enjoyed the cut. Stay safe, take care everyone, and be kind. Back to you, Tom.
All right, that is the Indie Cut with Charlie G. Thank you as always for all your contributions to the show, Charlie. So let's roll right along into the next segment of the show, which is the newest segment of the show, replacing the Troll of the Week. This is the brand new, more upbeat, more positive, more happy segment, and that is, of course, the Fan of the Week. This week's Fan of the Week is All Elite Tiffany. Now, if you guys are on Twitter, if you follow AEW on Twitter, you have probably heard of Tiffany. She is the number one fan of AEW, the number one fan of the Nightmare family. She is actually an honorary member of the Nightmare family, has been brought into the ring by Cody Rhodes at an AEW taping in her hometown in Kansas City, and she is just an all-around awesome presence online. She has a YouTube channel called Heart of the Elite. I strongly recommend you check it out. And she is just, like I said, she's an amazing presence online. She is just always so upbeat, so positive. A lot of the same qualities that last week's Fan of the Week, the very first Fan of the Week, Amy has. Again, thank you to Amy for being on the show and for inspiring this new segment. And I can say the same about Tiffany. Just such a great positive presence online. Never has anything bad to say about anyone, and shows so much support and so much love for what she is passionate about, for AEW, for Cody Rhodes, for Brandy, for Dustin, the entire Rhodes family, the entire Nightmare family. And she is just by all accounts an amazing person. I mean, I can't say I know her personally. I wish I did. I hope hopefully I'll get to meet her one day at at an event or something like that. But yeah, so if you're not following Tiffany yet, definitely look her up, give her a follow. She's a great follow online. It's at All Elite Tiffany on Twitter. Just can't say enough good things about all of the great content that I see coming from her, all of the positivity, the great posts of support for AEW, for wrestling in general. And you can tell when somebody loves something that much, when they're passionate about it, it shows through, even in text form on something like Twitter. You can just tell that the passion is there and that the love for it is there, and that's what Tiffany is all about. And like I said, if you are looking for more positive content on Twitter, more positive people to follow, this is somebody you need to be following. So once again, on Twitter, that's at All Elite Tiffany. It's Heart of the Elite on YouTube. Check out her channel as well. And yeah, so that is this week's Fan of the Week. It is All Elite Tiffany. So rolling into the next segment of the show, this is where I get to have a little fun and play promoter a little bit, and I am talking about the Fantasy Booker. fantasy booker for this week is kind of a no-brainer. I mean, this just seems like a natural matchup. If these two, it's a tag team match, if these two teams had existed at the same time, it could have been some of the best tag team matches you'd ever want to see, in my opinion. And I'm talking about the Rockers and the Young Bucks. Shawn Michaels and Marty Jannetty versus Matt and Nick Jackson. Would it be a spot fest? Hell yes, it would be a spot fest. You would see guys jumping and flipping and flopping and flying all over the place, and it would be beautiful, okay? I mean, you know, if you're not into that kind of wrestling, then obviously you're not going to like it. You don't have to watch it. It's okay. But, you know, for people who are fans of the high-flying stuff, for people who are fans of, you know, old school tag team wrestling as far as the Rockers go, I mean, back in the day, the Rockers were looked at as the spot monkeys, quote unquote, that the Young Bucks are looked at as now. So, you know, I think it would be just a natural matchup between these two teams, and I think it'd be a hell of a tag team match. You would see some crazy high spots. You would see you would see a lot of super kicks, but you know, I think it'd be great, and you legitimately have some of the greatest tag team wrestlers of all time in the ring. So, you know, that's my fantasy booker for this week. The Rockers versus the Young Bucks. And that, you know, that'd be a tag team main event literally anywhere in the world. So, yeah, just sit back and think about it for a little while. Let it play out in your head, and you tell me it wouldn't be a great tag team match between the Bucks and the Rockers. All right, so moving on to the last segment of the show here. This is where I kind of throw out what is probably an unpopular opinion, but hey, it's my opinion nonetheless, so I'm allowed, and it's my show, so there you go. And I'm talking about the weekly hot take. My hot take for this week: bring up Marina Shafir and Jessamyn Duke. Now, these two they basically have not done anything since Shayna Baszler was brought up to Raw to challenge Becky Lynch. You know, obviously in NXT, they were her backup. That was their little faction. You know, they were part of the Four Horsewomen with Ronda Rousey and that kind of thing. But ever since Shayna Baszler moved up to Raw, Shafir and Duke they've been doing nothing. I mean, they've been in the crowds for you know, for Raw and Smackdown and stuff, but they have not had a match on TV at all since Shayna Baszler left NXT, and I think that's a travesty, especially when the women's tag team division is sorely lacking in tag teams. You know, if you've seen these two work in the ring, they're both very good. They both have the same kind of MMA background that Shayna Baszler and Ronda Rousey do. You know, they're a natural tag team, and you know, with the women's tag team division, they have women's tag team titles. They need to ramp that division up a little bit, and I think Marina Shafir and Jessamyn Duke would be, you know, just what the doctor ordered in that case. You know, like I said, coming up this week on NXT, you've got yet another makeshift tag team, which I don't have a problem with Shotzi Blackheart or Tegan Nox. I think they're both amazing wrestlers, but it's another case of a cut and paste kind of tag team. You know, kind of same thing with Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross. You know, Bayley and Sasha, that's a natural team. The Iconics, that's a natural team. You know, but the women's division in WWE is lacking in women's tag teams. So, you know, this is one way that I see to kind of remedy that is, you know, get Marina Shafir and Jessamyn Duke involved somewhere in a storyline for the tag team titles, or in the women's tag team division at the very least. I'm not saying throw them directly into a title match, but, you know, get them in the mix a little bit. Maybe, who knows? It would be awesome to see the two of them kind of do a run-in on that women's tag team match coming up this week. That would be the perfect opening to kind of reintroduce them to the NXT audience, the WWE audience, and get them into the mix in the women's tag team division. So that's my hot take for the week, is bring up Marina Shafir and Jessamyn Duke. Get them in the ring. Get them in the women's tag team division. Get them involved. You know, get other put some other women's tag teams together and get them involved. I mean, make this a legitimate tag team division. It definitely needs it. You know, they need to beef up their women's tag team division to validate those titles, to keep those titles viable. I mean, they've been passed between basically 3 teams since they've been created. So, you know, there definitely needs to be some more women's tag team wrestling going on in WWE. And don't tell me they don't have time. They're putting out 7 hours of live programming every week, so they have the time. So, you know, yeah, bring up Shafir and Duke, get some more women's tag teams going on, beef up that women's tag team division, because I think if they do, they put, you know, just put a little bit more focus on it, I think it can be something really, really good for WWE. So that's pretty much going to do it for this week. Just want to mention before I sign off here, the Wrestling Behind Ringside Hall of Fame announcement is going to be coming up on Facebook Live on June the 20th. So make sure you head over to the Wrestling Behind Ringside Facebook page and check that out. Find out who the Hall of Fame nominees or inductees will be for this year. Also coming in August, Wrestling Behind Ringside is going to be doing a fantasy YouTube wrestling show, and there are going to be characters included from Catch, Hook, and Shoot. Myself and Charlie G are going to be a part of that, and what it's basically going to be is matches from the WWE 2K games, you know, played out on YouTube, and you know, storylines and championships. They're going to have the men's and women's world championships, tag team championships, and YouTube titles, kind of like the TV title. It's going to be a YouTube title. It's going to be a tournament to crown the first YouTube champions, and you know, it sounds like a pretty cool concept. So you know, head over to the WBR YouTube page and check that out. Like I said, that's coming in August, so make sure you check that out. Give it a shot. It sounds really cool to me, and I'm happy to be represented, so to speak, in the show. So yeah, make sure you check it out. Make sure you cheer for me or cheer for Charlie G. He's gonna have a character in there too. So but yeah, head over to make sure you check out the Wrestling Behind Ringside website, and podcast will be coming back soon. According to what Archie told me, he's going to be recording and some podcasts out there, and yeah, he's got a lot of stuff in the works too, as do I. Like I said earlier, I'm working on some new things for Patreon, got some new merchandise things in the works, and some collaborations and all kinds of good stuff coming up, hopefully very, very soon here. So with that, I am going to sign off. I hope everybody enjoys Backlash tonight. I will be back next week with all of the news and rumors and goings on in the crazy world of professional wrestling. So until then, I hope everybody has a great week, and I will talk to you guys soon.